Number 10. The poison candy that ruined Halloween. It all started like a typical American night in the 1970s. Cheap costumes, kids running around with cloth bags, and parents pretending they weren't tired. Ronald O'Brien, a peaceful-looking man with a practiced smile, accompanied his children on the traditional candy hunt. No one imagined that inside one of those colorful pixie sticks wrappers lay enough cyanide to kill a horse. When little Timothy tasted the candy, the bitter taste came before the scream, and the scream came before death. The entire country was shocked. Who would put poison in a child's candy? The answer was even more grotesque: the father himself. He did it to collect his son's life insurance. The press dubbed him the Candy Man. Since then, Halloween has never tasted the same. Fear has left haunted houses and entered the candy bags. And, ironically, the crime was so absurd that people still check their candy today, as if the devil himself were packaging candy in the basement. Number 9. The decoration is too realistic. In 2005, a small town in Delaware thought it had the most creative Halloween spirit in the country. A woman hanging from her porch, swaying in the wind, seemed the pinnacle of decorations, a perfect expression of terror, a motionless body, and impeccable costume. Neighbors praised her. They took photos. Some even said the mannequin was too real, and they were right, it was. Only hours later did anyone realize that this masterpiece of fright was actually the body of a woman who had hanged herself on her own porch in the early hours of the morning. The macabre irony: no one noticed because it was Halloween, and the absurdity seemed part of the festivities. It's the kind of story that makes you look twice at every hanging doll just to make sure it's not breathing. The case instantly became an urban legend, fueling the national paranoia that every decoration can be a crime clue. And, let's face it, on a night when death is the theme and fantasy is the rule, distinguishing reality from the stage can be the real terror. Number 8. The scare that turned fatal. Everyone knows that friend who takes Halloween too seriously. In 2012, in Texas, a young man decided to play a prank on his nephews. He dressed up as a zombie, hid behind a fence, and waited for the perfect moment to jump. The problem was that the neighbor, unaware of the prank, was also waiting but with a gun. Upon seeing the monster emerge from the darkness, he reacted like in a bad horror movie. He fired one shot, direct, end of joke. When they realized the zombie was flesh, blood, and related, the shock was universal. Halloween, which should have been a night of laughter, became a scene of investigation. It's the kind of tragedy that seems straight out of a dark comedy script, the scare that scared too much. Since then, the lesson has been simple: disguises work well at parties, not in ambushes. The line between prank and panic is thinner than a latex mask. And let's face it, if there's one night when pointing a gun is never a good idea, it's the night everyone pretends to be someone they're not. Number 7. The actor who took the role too seriously. In 2014, a haunted house in Ohio made headlines for all the wrong reasons. An actor hired to scare visitors with a bladeless chainsaw decided to add an extra touch of realism. The problem? He forgot that stage safety isn't a detail and accidentally picked up a chainsaw with blade eyes, a real one. The scare turned into instant panic. The first visitor ran, the second screamed, the third fainted, and the fourth left with a cut on his leg that turned the ride into a hospital. The production tried to justify it by saying it was total immersion. Immersion, in this case, in stitches and bandages. The irony is that the actor was so intent on appearing mortal that he almost became one. Since then, horror houses have reinforced protocols, and the story has become legend among those behind the scenes. Never trust anyone who wants to be too scary. Because fake horror is only fun until the blood starts to be real, and no one wants to leave Halloween with a scar to remember. Number 6. The fantasy that caught fire. It was supposed to be the best costume of the party. An angel literally covered in white tulle, with feathered wings and a glittery aura that left sparkling trails on the floor. But how loves irony? During a Halloween ball in the 1980s, this same angelic costume got too close to a decorative candle. Within seconds, the tulle turned to wick. The room, which had been vibrating to the sound of Thriller, filled with real screams. The fire rose as if it had its own rehearsal, transforming the glitter into a blaze. No one knew whether to help or flee after all. It all seemed part of the show. By the time they realized it wasn't theater, the damage was already done. The angel lost its wings, the party lost its rhythm, and Halloween gained yet another absurd story for its collection. The irony? The incident sparked a national alert about flammable costumes, and manufacturers began selling costumes with tragedy proof. Number 5. The coffin that wasn't fake. In 1990, a Halloween party in Los Angeles decided to take the ambience up a notch. The main attraction was a prop coffin where guests could lie down and take photos as if they were dead. Everything was perfect: low lighting, artificial smoke, and a cheap cemetery soundtrack. Until one of the guests, excited by the realism, decided to join in the act ... and never got up again. At first, everyone thought it was part of the show after all. The guy was known for overdramatics. But after a few minutes, they realized his silence was too serious. Cardiac arrest inside the coffin. Supreme irony, he died in the role he was playing. The embarrassment was so great that the party ended there, with guests exchanging glances, unsure whether to cry or applaud the final performance. The story spread quickly, and the coffin became an unwitting symbol of the motto "Be careful with realism," because, let's face it, playing dead is only fun until someone takes the role too seriously, and Halloween literally becomes a funeral. Number 4. The skeleton that was a real person. In 2001, employees at a California theme park were renovating an old horror tunnel when they discovered something curious. A skeleton hanging from the set looked all too real. At first, they thought it was just a high-quality prop after all. Halloween demands attention to detail. But closer inspection revealed the unlikely. The decoration was an authentic human skeleton, complete with real bones. The result? A collective jump scare worthy of an Oscar. The investigation revealed that the skeleton came from an old 1930s park, where human remains from anatomy classes were used to make the attractions more realistic. Decades later, no one remembered until the truth literally fell from the ceiling. The irony is that the most convincing figure in the house was the only one not acting. Since then, every Halloween decorator has learned a valuable lesson. If the skeleton looks too good to be plastic, maybe it's because it isn't. Number 3. The body that became part of the scenery. In 1976, a film crew arrived at an amusement park in Long Beach to film an episode of the Scariest, $6 Million Man while setting up cameras in an old haunted house. One of the technicians tried to move a dummy hanging from the ceiling and its arm simply came off, but the sound wasn't plastic cracking. It was bones, real ones. The entire crew froze. They discovered, horrified, that the dummy was the mummified body of a criminal dead for over 60 years, used for decades as a horror prop without anyone noticing. The man, once an outlaw, ended up as a Halloween attraction, illuminated by black lights and screams from visitors. The irony is that he achieved the fame he sought, but only as decoration. After that, any old object in a theme park began to be inspected with almost religious respect. Because, in the end, no one wants to discover that the most authentic party setting is a retired corpse from a Western. Number 2. The scare that stopped the heart. In 2018, a group of friends decided to visit a realistic haunted house in Kentucky, the kind with screaming actors, dragging chains, and monsters that appear out of nowhere. Among them was a skeptical, competitive, middle-aged man who promised not to be scared at all. He entered laughing, mocking the scares and making fun of his colleagues, but his heart had other plans. In the middle of a dark hallway, a blooded figure jumped from the wall with a scream worthy of a B-movie. The man laughed loudly ... and fell hard. Everyone thought it was acting, until the actor realized the joke had gone too far. A massive heart attack. Irony of ironies, the only one who didn't believe in fear was the one overcome by it. The haunted house closed for a few weeks, and the legend was born. They say that to this day, anyone who enters that room feels a distinct chill, as if his choked laughter still echoes throughout. Moral of the story: No one is immune to fear, especially when that fear decides to be literal. Number 1. The party that ended in the afterlife. It was supposed to be one of the biggest Halloween parties of 2022. Crowded streets, impeccable costumes, endless selfies. Seoul became a stage of color, sound, and enchanted chaos. But what began as a masked parade ended as one of the greatest tragedies in the city's modern history. A narrow street, thousands of people pushing, laughing, gasping for air. In minutes, euphoria turned to despair. The air vanished, the screams swallowed the music, and the crowd became a living and deadly wall. Hundreds were crushed to death, still dressed as witches, vampires, and superheroes. The cruel irony, no one there faced fake monsters. The terror was human, chaotic, suffocating. The next day, the streets were covered in candles and flowers, as if Halloween had decided to reveal its true face. Since then, the celebration in Korea has never been the same. Fear changed form. It stopped living in costumes and began to live in the reminder that real horror needs no masks.